Thank you, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Scott.
Good morning, Shlomi.
Thank you for flying over last night. Really, I appreciate that. And how many of you guys, before we start, just a short survey. How many of you guys are using Docker?
Okay.
Are you happy?
Yes, very happy. Very happy. Thank you. Thank you.
I need to ask them how many of them are using JFrog now.
It's 100%.
They're here.
That's 100%.
Well, guys, CEO of Docker, Scott and his team did a wonderful job, but let's take a step back. You know, I'm wearing the first Swamp Up t-shirt. This is 2015. And around these years is when you guys changed our world. 2014, 2015, right?
T-shirt from 2014 DockerCon, the first DockerCon.
2014.
Yeah, so
wow.
11 years of DockerCon.
And I remember these days of people speaking about containers, and people are speaking about Docker Hub becoming kind of the hub of everything. Yeah. And before we even start, I think on behalf of the community, I want to say thank you.
Oh, generous.
Thank you.
Generous.
Like you guys really changed.
Thank you.
Really changed our world.
I mean, without the community, there's nothing, right? And so we started with this notion of like, how can we take all this complex technology? How do you take C groups and namespaces, right, in the Linux kernel? How do you take immutable file systems? How do you take simple primitives and put them in the hands of millions? Democratize really powerful tech. Because containers have been around, containers have been around for decades, right? Who remembers BSD jails, right, or BSD chroot, right, back in the day? They've been around for decades. But it was really, really hard tech to take advantage of. And so Solomon's vision, 2013, March 2013 is when we released open source Docker. Solomon's vision was take all this complex tech and make it accessible to millions. And you know, thank goodness that you all in the community jumped on board, because it's what made this very vibrant, very active ecosystem, of which we've been partners for a decade now. We were very, very proud of the partnerships and just the level of community engagement. So thank you all, because Docker wouldn't be here without you.
Thank you, Scott. Okay, we put together, guys, few items that we think that are relevant, if not to 100% of you, then to the majority. And some of it was discussed in different talks yesterday by our speakers, in different tracks. But we understand that we are in the midst of a change in the industry. And we spoke a lot about tools consolidations. We spoke a lot about how developers' efficiency and productivity is part of our day-to-day life, how security became something that we are responsible for, yep. And what we have to report to our managers about tools and tool costs. So when you think about consolidation, and you and I, we both coming from the community that praise the best of breed, yep. Open source products, bring as much as we can, developers, democracy, and freedom of choice. So how are you looking at the next few years in terms of tools consolidation? What is the level of consolidation we should get to?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I think our industry is right in the middle of that conversation, trying to sort it, right? And so I think it's too easy to kind of rail to one extreme or the other, right? So it's like, oh, consolidate everything, or rail to the other extremes, like best of breed everything. And of course, that's overly simplified, right? We're seeing that our customers are looking at it through the lens of three criteria, right? Does it help with your velocity? Does it help developers ship value faster to production? Second is, does it help them do their work more efficiently, right? No need to ship value to production if it costs you 10 times as much to ship that value. And then third is, does it help you reduce risk? And as they look through those three criteria, then you see them selecting, okay, it makes sense to consolidate this part of the SDLC, but maybe this other part where we need to reduce more risk, or maybe this other part that'll give us more velocity. Let's keep focused on a best of breed approach. And so it really is a balance based on those three factors. And I think as the industry matures, you're going to see what makes sense for best of breed today. 2 years from now, let's consolidate, right? And particularly, I think with Gen AI, which we're going to talk about in a second, with the wave of Gen AI coming, it's creating a whole new cycle of conversation and questions about where to consolidate and where to go with best of breed. So I think it will never change in our industry, which I think is why we enjoy it so much, right? There's always learning, there's always innovation happening at every step of the stack, every step of the SDLC. And I think it's important that we keep playing back to our customers how we're viewing the industry and how we can guide them on these choices of consolidation versus best of breed.
And this is like a follow-up question. Do you think it will impact the collaboration between vendors in the industry? Like a lot of vendors back in the days of best of breed worked hard, really hard, on integrating tools and make sure that developers can work with their CI server, will work with their Git repository, that will work with their binary repository and with the hub. Do you think it would change the narrative of collaboration between vendors and creators of tools?
So it's not going to change the importance of it, right? Because the coming wave of Gen AI is still going to need containers, it's still going to need security, it's still going to need distribution of containers throughout an organization's network. But how that is done, particularly how code gets from idea, the Jira ticket, the GitHub issue, into the container, right? Right now that is very dev-centric. And we believe that it's going to become much less dev-centric and much more bot-centric or agent-centric. And so, okay, in that world, you still need artifact repositories, you still need security, you still need validation and vetting in something that looks like a CI/CD toolchain. But boy, when the agents are driving that automation versus devs, that's going to be a very different world, right? So it's an exciting one. Again, that's why we're in this industry, right? Because there's nonstop change. But we're in the very first chapter of this evolution, and it's going to be an exciting one.